It's 1:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission for Monday, August 19, 2019 to order. We'll have roll call. Commissioner Varnell.
Present.
Commissioner Littlefield.
Present.
Commissioner Russell.
Present.
Commissioner Hale.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Schuline.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner George is not available. And Commissioner Milner.
Here.
I'd just like the record to show that the two new traffic commissioners, Mr. Varnell and Mr. Russell, signed their oath in a private ceremony. They're so new, we don't even have name tags. So number one is to the left of two, and number three is to the right of two. So we got that number, okay? We'll go ahead and need a motion concerning the approval of the minutes of the July 15, 2019 meeting, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Schuline. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Milner. Do we have any discussion on it? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes of July 15, 2019 meeting from Commissioner Schuline, seconded by Commissioner Milner. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Report on license and taxi record service will be in October. Now we go to the consent docket. We have three items on the consent docket, A, B, and C. Is anybody here to speak against an item on the consent docket? Okay. Staff, do we have any special input?
No, all items are being recommended for approval as being presented.
Okay. Do we have a motion concerning the consent docket?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Hale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schuline. Any discussion on a consent item? Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent docket from Commissioner Hale, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. We go on now to item 5, items for individual consideration. 5A, J. Sue Dawes, to consider request for the addition of stop control on North Sarah Road at Northwest 23rd Street to establish all-way stop control. We do have one person to speak on this. Yes, ma'am. I have your form. If you could come up, let's have your name, address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Sue Dawes. I live at 2420 Horn Valley Court. I've lived there since April. I've lived in the area since 2015. We recently purchased over there. We've had a lot of increased traffic in that area. Even prior to school starting, there's been a lot of traffic because of the new homes that are being built. There's, in Sarah Vista, which is near completion, they have 107 permits. Homestead, which is where I live, they have 156 permits that are approved. These are all approved permits. And they're about 46 complete according to the builder. King Ridge Edition, they have 103 permits to build homes. Timbercraft Homes, which they are new, they are just now starting to plow the land and install the plumbing. They have 194 permits. Turnberry Village, they have 175. That's 735 new homes within a mile from the center of that intersection. The report had stated that there were wrecks there and they were due to people not stopping. If you're heading west on 23rd Street, it inclines up. And if you're in a small car, I have a small car, it's just a regular car, it's a Chevy. If you stop at the line where you're supposed to, according to the law, you cannot see either way. You have to pull your vehicle completely in front of the line, and that is with all vegetation cut down. And we tested it this weekend. We tested it in my car, my husband's vehicle, which is an SUV, and then a couple of the neighbors tested it. They cannot see at all. The other directions you can see, one of the problems with coming either north or south on Sarah is when you're coming, you can't see that road until you get pretty close up to it. The rest of the roads are kept, the debris and the grass and vegetation is kept trim from the builders. But the one that's on our side, those property are owned by farmers, and they are not maintained at all. We have neighbors that go down there and volunteer their time every couple of weeks and cut that vegetation down because they have teenage kids. And then we get into the school year. School year's just started, and I know the counts were done prior to the school year starting. You can't get turned out of our neighborhood. It takes forever whenever you're pulling up there. For one, the road that travels on it, it is a passing lane. You can pass. So I've been sitting there at the stop sign, and cars will pass a slower vehicle. Those cars speed. They are like hauling, but because they have all the way from Southeast 15th all the way to 36th Street to maintain that speed. There's no stopping there. Whenever when you're going westbound, coming out of the addition, out of that neighborhood, if you turn, you have to turn really, really sharp, and you have to make sure that the oncoming traffic going southbound is clear, because you have to turn so sharp, because where the roadway ends, it drops off. On the 18th or the 19th, we had some teenagers that turned, and he overcorrected, rolled his vehicle. Nobody was hurt, but they rolled their vehicle. And that brings me to accidents. Since I've moved into Horn Valley, May 13th, June 19th, July 5th, and July 9th that I know of were accidents. Nobody was injured that I know of, but there's just a lot of accidents in that area. It's dangerous, and I've almost been hit because I didn't see the car. I pulled out, it was at dusk. Looked, pulled up as far as I could, can't see the traffic down the road, and I pulled out. And thank goodness the truck was paying attention. He slams on his brakes just in time not to hit me. And I've never been ticketed. I've never been in a wreck. And I've been driving since I was 16, so I'm a pretty safe driver. But that's just asking for consideration. All the other streets, all the way down to Highway 52, at those arteries have stop signs. I don't think a stoplight, maybe in the future, maybe even 4 lanes in the future with the amount of homes that are being built. That's what they're doing now currently from I-40 down to 152 is they're making it 2-lane. So, I mean, I just asking for consideration to have 4-way stop there before somebody seriously gets injured in that location. And I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wanted to speak on item 5A? Okay, staff, please.
Okay, you've got our comments before you. We did run an always stop warrant analysis for this particular intersection, and currently doesn't satisfy any of the traffic-based criteria for using always stop control. As Ms. Dawes noted, and as covered in the recommendation section of your report, we note that every section line road intersection along Sarah Road, basically from the city of Mustang to the city of Yukon, has got some form of intersection control, whether it's a traffic signal or always stop control. At this point in time, just the intersection of 23rd and Sarah is the only one that does not have any control on Sarah Road itself. So always stop controlled intersections are common, and they're not unexpected at rural arterial section line road intersections in Oklahoma City. And so from a traffic control consistency standpoint, the use of always stop control at this semi-rural section line road intersection shouldn't violate driver expectation. So action on this matter is going to be at the discretion of the Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5A from Commissioner Varnell. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Littlefield. Any discussion on this? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5A from Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Littlefield. Let's have your votes, please. Okay, item is approved. Okay, we go, just to make sure, as you talk to your neighbors, And when they post out the new four-way stop, you're probably going to put like a four-way thing and say new or something on it.
There'll be a plaque underneath all, because right now the east-west signs have got yellow plaques that read cross traffic does not stop. Those will be replaced with all-way plaques, and on Sarah Road there'll be advanced stop-ahead signs installed, because this will be a change for the drivers that use it.
And then, but for the neighbors who come up to the current stop sign, they all need to know, don't trust that they're going to stop for a while until everybody gets used to it, and just before they pull out, you know. Yeah, that's my recommendation. Okay, great. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, here we go. One second. Commissioner Miller.
Will you include the no passing marking when we put in the stop sign on the road that doesn't have them? It's just got a center line, no passing zone leading up to the stop sign when we put it. That part, when they do that, go put the stop sign, they'll do that one.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and add pavement markings to make sure there's no passing at the on the approaches to the intersection.
So that's what she was talking about, that it was a passing area, is that had just the dotted lines, so you always put in a striped line coming up to a four-way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you. Okay, item 5B, Jack White, to consider a request to establish a no parking anytime restriction on the east and west sides of Summit Avenue between Northwest 50th Street and Northwest 51st Street. Mr. White? If I could have your name, address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Commissioners, I'm bringing my wife up here. At 83, you start losing things, and I'm losing my hearing. So she is my ears. Okay, thank you.
So,
and it's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Jack, middle initial E, last name White. I live at 3425 Northwest 51st Street. My wife is Camilla Means. We've been married 33 years, and we have both lived at that address for the last 23 years. So we're well familiar with the neighborhood and what's happened.
And ma'am, if you could just make sure you understand there's a 5-minute time limit. Okay, thank you.
I assume that you have this in your packets. And the question is, traffic between 51st traveling south to Summit and from Summit traveling north to 51st. The 51st Street west of Summit is largely multifamily and commercial. The corner property, the R4 property next to Summit and 51st has off-street parking. It's a large apartment complex, and their occupancy isn't all that full, so there's a lot of parking area. They have tenants that park on Summit between 51st and 50th, so they can save a couple of steps to get to their unit. We have circulated a petition, and there are the necessary signatures on that, my wife and I, and the manager of the Summit Gardens Apartments, and the owners of the southeast property of 51st and Summit. The manager of the Summit Gardens gladly signed the petition. He can't tell his occupancy what to do, but you can. And there is a lot of traffic that goes on 51st to Summit and vice versa. Quite often, the cars parked on Summit obscure the visibility so that you can't see who's coming in either direction. And there have been many times when we've had to stop and back up or whatever. But you can correct that situation, if you will. If you don't, it goes back to the same situation. And the choice is really this. Do you respect a person's wanting to walk 3 or 4 feet, maybe 20 steps, or protect the safety of traffic? And since you're a traffic commission, I would think you would vote in favor of safety of traffic. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If I can remember what your question was. No.
All right, thank you very much. Ma'am, do you have anything you'd want to say? Okay, very good. All right, staff input, please.
All right, you've got our comments before you.
Thank you very much.
The applicant has provided a petition that meets the Commission's policy demonstrating support for the no parking anytime restriction on both sides of Summit Avenue between Northwest 50th and Northwest 51st Street. So at this point in time, prohibiting parking on both sides of Summit between these streets will be at the discretion of the Commission.
All right. Do we have a motion concerning item 5B?
I move for approval.
We have a motion to approve item 5B from Commissioner Littlefield. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Schuline. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm on page 12. The bottom right property, is that R1? It'd be on the corner of 50th and Summit. On the east.
No, we don't have, yeah.
Yeah, there.
Okay, it would indicate, the map would tend to indicate that that is, well, it might have been, there's 50. But that one right there is highlighted differently. It may have a conditional use on it, maybe for, it's probably converted residential for maybe business or office type operation.
Because the one on the west I know was a orthodontist office at one time.
I believe that the property that we were talking about, I think that has changed to commercial. The corner of 50th and Summit on the east side of Summit. Yes. Yeah, I think the doctor just purchased that. It's not occupied.
That has been rezoned, and everything from Summit over to the Hefner Parkway will be commercial on the north side of 50. And the south.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Sir, yeah, if we could have you come up so we can be on the record of all the comments. Yeah. So the question is, what do you consider that property as for a rating, and the comment you made about what you think is the future?
Up on the screen, the bottom right property.
The bottom right on the screen.
That's a stone house. The front porch has wooden timbers holding up the roof. It has been there for many, many years. It hasn't been occupied for some time, and that has gone commercial. On the west side of Summit and 50th is a professional building that's been vacant for some time. The vacancy sign has come down, and there is a lot of on-site parking at that property.
There was an application a few years ago that was very similar with an apartment complex where the residents of the complex were parking on the public street, blocking residential properties, but there was ample parking in the unit for those vehicles to park. So I only asked that question out of curiosity. If it were an R1 property and somebody was living in it now, but I noticed from your petition that it's vacant. So the 100%, 67% was satisfied. I totally support this. I think that people that live in apartment complexes where there's parking should park in the parking lot supplied by that complex and not annoy, I might even go so far as to say, as office or commercial zoning. So I support it. I just wanted clarity on that one property.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, any other talk on item 5B? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5B from Commissioner Littlefield, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. Votes, please. Okay, item is approved. Okay, we go on now to item 5C, John DeVere, Senior Pastor, Hope Church, to consider a request for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of North Meridian Avenue and Northwest 30th Street. There's nobody here to speak on that item. Staff?
Okay, you've got our comments before you. This item was continued from the July 15th meeting at the request of the applicant, who at the time was taking a bunch of children to church camp. This particular intersection, we reviewed it using the manual and uniform traffic control device warrants for the use of signalized traffic control. Based on the side street volumes, this particular intersection won't meet any of the signal warrants. It doesn't have a collision history that would indicate that any other form of traffic control measures are needed at this particular time. In his original letter, Pastor DeVere did discuss a view obstruction, which was reference to some low-hanging tree branches. Those have since been cut back. The city had taken care of getting that work done. But aside from that, this is just a non-conforming signalized intersection request. But should the commission vote to approve the request, staff would make the recommendation that a motion include widening Meridian Avenue for left turn lanes at this particular intersection. Aside from that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have relative to this application.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5C?
Make a motion to disapprove.
Motion to disapprove from Commissioner Littlefield. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second by Commissioner Miller to disapprove. Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion to disapprove item 5C from Commissioner Littlefield, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Votes, please. Okay, item. Yeah, there we. Yeah, do you? Yeah, let's have the votes come back up one more time. There you go. That's what you wish, sir? Right. You want to disapprove. Very good. Okay. Item is disapproved. We go on now to item 5D. Lance Benham to consider a request to change the speed limit on East Hefner Road between North Bryant Avenue and North I-35 Service Road from 40 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. Nobody here? Staff, do you have input?
Okay, the applicant contacted us after we published the agenda, and he's requested that this item be deferred and heard again at the October 21st meeting.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5D?
Motion to approve. Defer.
To defer. We have a motion from Commissioner Miller to defer item 5B to the October 21st meeting. Do we have a second? Second.
Can I clarify that was the motion to defer it to October?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what he said, yes. Very good. And do we have a second on it?
We have a second.
A second from Commissioner Hale. So we have a motion to defer item 5D to the October 21st meeting from Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is deferred. We go on now to item 5E, Traffic Management Division, to consider a request to change the speed limit on North Sooner Road between Northeast 36th Street and Northeast 46th Street from 45 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour. Staff?
All right. Actually, this item came out of a request that the commission had taken up about 2 months ago when we had a request to change the speed limit on a section of Sooner Road north of this particular location. It was during that presentation of that particular case that we had noted that this particular section, half-mile section of Sooner Road had been reduced previously in 2004, and that was in anticipation of a planned subdivision. Well, that particular addition never made it to the Planning Commission process. So at this point in time, since there's been no changes in the area, the 85th percentile speed is actually slightly above what we're requesting in the way of a speed limit. We're bringing this back to the commission to normalize the speed limit on Sooner Road at 50 miles an hour, basically from Northeast 23rd Street up to Northeast 122nd Street. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have relative to this application.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning 5E?
I move to approve staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5E from Commissioner Miller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Varnell. Any discussion on 5E? Okay, we have a motion to approve 5E from Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Varnell. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. Comments from citizen. There's nobody here to provide any. We'll go on now to item 7, reports from traffic commissioners, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go on down here to Ward 1 to Commissioner Varnell.
I don't have any comments at this time.
Okay,
I'm just glad to be here. Thanks for having me on our first meeting.
very good, sir. Go to Ward 2, Commissioner Littlefield.
I'm so glad I'm not alone anymore.
I know. It was a
People
long-
aren't staring just at me anymore. Welcome, you guys. It's good work here. I defer my subcommittee comments to Commissioner Schuling.
Hoorah. Okay, go to Ward 3 to Commissioner Russell.
No comments, just thank you for having me.
All right, thanks for volunteering, both of you. Then we go on over to Commissioner Hale.
Just a quick comment. Thank you, Stuart, for sending out the email regarding the sensors on the newer vehicles and their reaction to potholes and speed bumps. I thought that was most informative. Thank you. Besides that, no other comments.
All right, over to Commissioner Schuling.
Commissioner Littlefield and I would both appreciate if the other commissioners would review the memo that Stuart sent out about ASAP and provide comments. I mean, we really, it's been a lot of work has gone into it, and really appreciate commission staff for putting together the document that they have, because I know it's a lot of work for them, and we appreciate it. But it'd be really good if we'd all provide input. I intend to do the same myself. Thanks.
Well, just on that subject, does anybody really have any, I mean, I just answered back saying that it's good to go, and I think it's fine, and I didn't have any further comments from our 3-4 years of comments. But for the new ones, if you haven't received it yet, do you think they've received the ASAP stuff?
No, but I'll make sure that they do get it. As a matter of fact, I think that Commissioner Russell has actually had an interest in this from a citizen's perspective prior to being appointed to the commission.
Okay. So yeah, if we can get the information passed to them, and within a week or so, if you could review it, and if you have any comments, to go ahead and send it back to them. Okay? All right, thank you very much. And Commissioner Miller.
I just want to make a comment, since we had 2 items concerning speed zones, and I was doing some searching over the weekend, and the state of California is in a big hassle right now about what to do about speed limits. And their law in California is that you don't break the speed limit if the speed limit has to be the 85th percentile. And all these towns are wrestling with that, particularly with traffic calming issues and things like that, pedestrians. But they have to go in and and reestablish the 85th percentile on their streets before they can even enforce them. That's in California. And they're having a hell of a time getting that changed through their legislature. They've got the bicyclists and the people that, they're trying, and I know there's issues with that, but it's an interesting read if you want to get in there and check their task force out. This woman had introduced a bill, 2363, but it got watered down to where they just established a task force to study it. But can you imagine that in Oklahoma? You have to have the 85th percentile speed established by an engineering study before you can enforce it. And that's the speed, that's the legal speed. Be a nightmare. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of speeding through housing areas. Okay, and over to Commissioner Milner.
I don't have anything to report.
All right. Counselor, do you have anything? I know you have something on item 5D, I believe. You had an input on that. Sorry I didn't get you.
We ran tickets during a week period, and 6 citations were written in that area. What was it, on 30 Hefner Road? Yes, on Hefner Road. In that area, there was concern about construction vehicles passing, allowing that. Unfortunately, it is afternoon time. There's not a lot of great places for a motor officer to set up, but we are still monitoring that until the October meeting when we're able to bring it before the commission again.
All right. Thank you for your input. Staff, do you have anything?
No, the only thing I might add, in addition to Captain Teal's comments, is at the July 15th meeting, when the applicant noted that when we had conducted the speed study on Hefner Road, they said that the speeding was more frequent in the hours, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., and so we did a follow-up study on that. That little summarized on page 2 of the staff report for that particular item. And in this particular case, the comments that the applicant had made were accurate. Based on what we had observed between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m., the 85th percentile speed we observed on East Hefner Road is 51 miles an hour. Now, we also note that the applicant is seeking that particular case to be, or the speed limit to be dropped to 35 miles an hour on Hefner Road. And between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m., about 2% of all drivers observed traveled 35 miles an hour or less. This is just something else to be considering when this item comes back up for consideration at the October meeting, is that, the speed limit currently being requested is one that's not being, is basically it's rare to observe someone traveling that slow on Hefner Road. And aside from that, we've got our monthly report on yield signs that were installed administratively. And other than that, I don't have anything else to add.
Yes, sir.
Has the applicant on that issue on Hefner Road had an opportunity or reached out to meet with you about any speed abatement items that could be considered?
We've been short-staffed, but we are going to be placing some of our mobile driver speed feedback carts out on Hefner Road. And it's going to give them an opportunity to see what kind of impact something like that might have. And it will also give us an opportunity to do a study on it after it's been out for a while, and then when it's initially put out, and then after drivers have seen it for a while and kind of gotten acclimated to it. And I think that's one of the things that by deferring this item to October, it gives us some study time in between now and then.
So thanks for having the crew get out there. Okay. Any other items for the commission? All right, we stand adjourned.